Hey, this is Andrew from Precursor Productions, and our topic here is that I finished my recording. Now, what should I do with it? So what's the next step once you've got a completed recording? So this really kind of assumes that you've gone through the process of making a recording, you've gone through the other processes of mixing and mastering, and you've got a final finished product that's ready to distribute. And I think really the key questions here are how you think about distributing and marketing your piece of music. These are often areas that are very uncomfortable for people nowadays. I think on the distribution end of things, technology has really changed the way that recordings are distributed. And I think that the press and the media has focused on a lot of the downside of what's happened with file sharing and all these sorts of things that have interfered with the traditional manufacturing model where physical product was manufactured and then basically shipped to different retail outlets, and then it was sold, usually for a very high markup. Now that has really changed. While some of that's still going on, really the most interesting future areas of music distribution are in the digital realm. But of course, it's been tricky for people to figure out how best to monetize them. So distribution can be a bit intimidating. I'll try and outline some good ideas there. Now then on the other side of it, you have marketing and promotion. And that I think is something that a lot of musicians don't naturally sort of have those skills in place. Some do, but a lot of us really struggle with that. And so I'm going to try to give you some ideas there as well too. So on a distribution side, it's really about, first of all, getting a recording in various different formats that you're going to be releasing it in. Thinking about, for example, do I take this usually final digital recording that I've made and am I going to do a vinyl release? Some bands right now like to do a limited vinyl run, which can be a great promotional tool because that hits the collector crowd. If you're going to do that, well then you're going to have to get a version of your track pre-mastered for vinyl and then ultimately mastered and a lacquer cut out of it. So that's one step that you might have to take. If you're releasing CDs, they're not as popular for mass distribution nowadays, but CDs can still be a very, very effective way of promoting yourself at shows. A lot of people will still impulse buy a CD at shows, and you might just want to have a small quantity in reserve for selling online to those people who still prefer to buy CDs. They are still out there. So once again, preparing your master for CD distribution and then researching the whole process of getting some CDs manufactured. I think it can be very tempting to do a large batch of CDs, and it's definitely more cost effective, but I think I usually urge most artists that, especially if they're new to the game and their sales are untried and untested, to do small runs of CDs. It was the case not that long ago that you had to do very large runs of CDs or it would be quite expensive, but now you can actually get runs of CDs that are manufactured for a relatively small amount of money, and you can do quantities of 50, 100, 200, so do them in small batches. It might cost you a little bit more, but until you have tested it out and played those live shows and seen how many products you can move, it's better not to be left with 1,000 or 2,000 CDs sitting in your basement for years to come. Now, the digital distribution formats are probably the most effective, so you'll want to think about things like hitting all your social media. Most of the social media, including things like MySpace, Facebook, etc., have the ability for you to host music and to create special accounts relating to your music, and this can be a fantastic way to tie your musical aspirations into all of your other social networking. And of course, you can even manage a lot of this from your phones nowadays, so it's a very convenient and powerful way to get the word out that you've completed a song, an EP, or an album, and to get people who you know and their acquaintances interested in what you're doing. So you'll want to take a look at all of the relevant social media, and it's often very inexpensive, often no cost at all, to set up your music on those social media sites so that people can listen to it and share it and like it and get other people interested in it as well too. Now, I think it's easy to get caught up in social media and not think about having your own website, but I still think it's very important to have, even if it's just a very basic, minimalistically designed, clean, good-looking website. It's good to have some sort of a website for your band or your artist name, etc. It could be a blog as well too, so if you have a good blog, that could be an alternative to having a website, and that's often even a little cheaper and easier to set up. But having some kind of a domain which is specific to your band, and then ultimately having some kind of a website set up, I think it's also really important. Some people go very elaborate in that regard. I don't think that's always necessary, but I think it's definitely something that in combination with social media is a powerful marketing and distribution tool. Now, if you're looking at how to distribute your music from your website, there are a number of services which can allow you for a very small fee, often $50 to $100 a year, to basically create a link with an online shopping cart so that you yourself don't have to take the burden of the e-commerce side of selling your music directly from your site. So I would suggest to look into some of those services and basically see if they're appropriate to put a link like that on your website as well too. And of course, don't neglect the traditional ways of promoting your music. Live music is something that has become a great premium nowadays because we enjoy so much music digitally on things like iPods, etc., that the experience of seeing a live band has become a very, very premium, important thing, more probably than a lot in the last 20 years. So play as many shows as you can to promote your release. both within your community, within your city, and if you have the possibility to tour, then try and set something like that up. It's a fantastic way to promote your music. And of course, also traditional media as well too. Doing up some press releases to traditional radio and other forms of traditional news media, and that can be an effective way to promote your music as well. So hopefully we've given you some ideas of what you do once you have a finished recording in your hands and how you might push it out to people, and importantly, how you might make them aware of it so that they actually know something about it and can look into it, and if they like it, they can make a purchase and come out to see your shows. So if you'd like to learn more about how to get the most out of your experience in the studio, simply head over to precursorproductions.com and sign up for our email list. When you do that, I'm going to send you 20 videos that outline how to save time, money, and get the best product when you're working in the studio. I'm also going to offer you 10% off of any of our professional audio production services. So head over to precursorproductions.com, enter your name in our mailing list, and you'll start getting those videos and the discount immediately.